Scott, I know you've been really interested in how they've kind of utilized that six offensive lineman and kind of how it can how this can help them establish the run. James Cook's been very good in that six offensive lineman formation. They've been very good at running the ball then. But like you've put in here, the Ravens are very good against the run. So what do you think kind of about the run game and the six offensive lineman kind of packages?
Yeah, so what I've liked that they've done on the six alignment so far, they've just done so many different things out of it. Like they've had a lot of very basic plays that they've run well. Like the Keon Coleman touchdown was a shot down the field, was run out of the 6-0 lineman set. It was incomplete, but they ran like a deep into MVS for like 20-yard shot. It was incomplete, but that was out of 6-0 lineman. They ran the James Cook 18-yard catch where they out of 6-0 line. Defense probably thinks you're running the ball. They ran MVS on a go, and I think Keon ran like a deep out or deep in, something like that. And then they just kind of snuck James Cook out of the backfield, and there was no one there because they didn't have as many guys in coverage to make up for the 6-0 lineman, and James Cook ended up getting 18 yards off a check down. So and then they have run the ball out of it. Like one play, I think it only went for 4 or 5 yards. It was a cool concept. They had the 6-0 lineman outside of the tight end. So they had like the center, the guards, the tackles, and then Kincaid was at his normal tight end position. And then I think it was Grable before he got hurt was outside the tight end. And then the D end lined up in like a 7 technique like he's supposed to, like inside the middle of the extra O lineman. Then he was just able to seal him, and they kind of double teamed him and set the edge. So it's been really cool to see the stuff they've done out of it. A lot of play action, which worked really well. We talked about that last week. Like they hadn't been running a lot of play action pass. They were under center. It was all passing, or excuse me, it was all running the ball. So yeah, the 6-0 lineman stuff has been great. It's been giving Josh a ton of time, a very clean pocket. The route combinations have been clean enough that they're able to get open with really only 2 or 3 man routes. And then they always have a check down, which in Joe Brady's offense, every play has a check down. So it's been really good to see like all the different variations they've done out of it, because normally you see extra O linemen coming in, oh, they're running the ball, but no, those are taking shots out of this formation. So I think that could definitely be a good way to neutralize that Ravens pass rush, like we talked about, because 6-0 linemen obviously can be a little bit better at blocking. Maybe they rush 5 or 6 and we're able to pick it up, and then they're able to take their pick downfield. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see, and I think it's something that's definitely going to be in the scheme for the rest of the season.
Yeah, very interesting ways to use the personnel here. We talked a lot about personnel usage in our show. It's something that we have a lot of fun in dissecting. And I agree with what Scott said. I don't have much to add to it, really. I just think that they're going to continue to use these packages, and that they're going to stay unpredictable out of them. I think it's a very good job. We talked about predictability last week, and they came out and showed us how unpredictable and how explosive they could be against Jacksonville. So definitely a big fan of the heavy personnel package and the way that they can do multiple things from it. And they've already shown that they're able to run. James Cook's 49-yard touchdown was run out of a heavy personnel set. And then, like you mentioned, Keon Coleman's reception as well this week was run out of that. So both running and passing, they're having success with that personnel package. And we'll see. Again, we talked about maybe Ryan Vandemark seeing some time on the field this week, and maybe he's a player and that gets into one of those situations.
Yeah, I saw Royce talking about James Cook's had less than 4 yards per carry in 2 out of 3 games. The good thing is he's been very good when they've had more defenders in the box. That's like the crazy part, which I think this brings it to that aspect of having that 6 offensive linemen forces them to have more defenders in the box. But the Bills are able to do more against it, and they're able to exploit teams really more when it comes to having more in the box. If you're gonna have more in the box, they'll go over the top on you. They'll take advantage of that, or they're just gonna run it right down your throats and get 4, 5, 6 yards, where maybe the negative rushing game, rushing yards and the rushing attempts are when they're not in that 6 offensive line formation. So I do expect them to utilize this heavily this game, especially because this is a team that doesn't miss tackles. So if you're going to have less offensive linemen out there, it's going to let these guys fly around more, and it's going to let these guys get more opportunities to wrap up. Or if you have more offensive line, it kind of gives you might be able to get a little bit more of a push. You might be able to open up a lane more for James Cook and Ray Davis. So I'm excited to see how they do it, especially how they handle a guy like Kyle Hamilton maybe being in the box more, who can kind of do it all at the safety position, and to see if they put a priority on utilizing the 6 offensive linemen even more this game when it comes to running the football. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see. It's going to be awesome, and maybe like Doug said, maybe it is time for a big man touchdown here, which would be absolutely awesome to see. Maybe Scott can see it in person. There can see a big man touchdown. That they might have to kick you out of the stadium if that happens, Scott.
That might be where they draw the line. Yeah.
I do also want to clarify. Spin said first play of the game is 65-yard bomb is ridiculous. Not going to happen. More realistic is a 99-yard play bomb. So that definitely makes sense. But I'm interested to see how they kind of utilize this and how they kind of expand on the run game, because the run game hasn't been, besides maybe the Miami game, it hasn't been the best so far this season. But it also hasn't really been something where I'm watching it, and at least for me, is super concerned about it going on as the season goes on. So we'll see. But we're going to move on here before we do our who needs to step up and who will be the MVP. Before we do that, I'm going to talk about Ravens having a good pass rush. We talked about them being able to get to the quarterback, 10 sacks. Colin Van Noy by himself has 4. Bills' offensive line has been great at protecting Josh Allen. The pressure rate's been down. I believe it's 4th lowest pressure rate in the NFL. Josh Allen, even when there is pressure, has been phenomenal. So we'll start with you, Scott. Again, what do you think about just how this offensive line can protect Josh? And do you think that maybe this is a game that they could struggle in?
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are definitely going to get creative. I know they've had a lot of defensive coordinators over the years. They had Link Martindale for all those years, and Mike McDonald left and went to the Seahawks. But it feels like no matter what, like a John Harbaugh-led team is going to get creative. They're going to try to heat you up. They're going to throw some blitzes at you. So the O-line is definitely in for a tough test. Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown at kind of the bookends have been almost immaculate so far. I don't think Spencer Brown has given up a pressure yet. Maybe there was a hold that wasn't called against the Jags. We don't have to talk about that because the refs didn't talk about that. But Deion Dawkins has been great. The interior of the O-line has meshed really well. So, yeah, like they're definitely going to have their hands full. And obviously Josh Allen helps with the offensive line just because he is so mobile and he is so big. And he isn't the kind of quarterback like a Russell Wilson who might run into a sack by just like running where the protection isn't. Josh does a pretty good job of moving within the pocket and then not getting out until he absolutely has to. But yeah, like the O-line is going to have to communicate, and this is probably going to be their toughest test so far this year. So they're going to have to communicate. They're going to have to, bring their A game and make sure they're all on the same page. Because when the Ravens run stunts and they run, different type of blitzes, maybe blitzes off the edge, like they're going to have to know how to pick them up. And if there is someone who has to come free, because I promise you the Ravens are going to blitz more guys than we have to block, they're just going to have to know who the free guy is so Josh knows he can get the ball out of his hands quick.
You're muted, Lance.
Helps if I unmute, right? I believe in this offensive line. I think they really have stepped up, like Scott said, and I really think that guys like Deion Dawkins and Connor McGovern really help lead the charge for this team. The leadership that they have on this offensive line, their ability to communicate and get into alignments and know what each other's responsibilities are going to be based upon the alignment, and then cover those. I really think that the running backs have also showed the ability to step up in pass pro as well lately. So I'm really excited to see that. And for the most part, Josh Allen's mobility will take care of the rest, really.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a team where, like Scott said, you're going to have to communicate because they like to bring the blitz, especially on third down. They really like to bring the blitz. They even though Josh Allen hasn't been blitzed a lot this year, they really love to get after the quarterback. So they're going to have to communicate. The running backs are going to have to come up big. I know we saw that James Cook double screenshot of him. All of a sudden, it looks like Josh is going to get tackled. Then out of nowhere, James Cook comes in and cracks the guy. But you've also, I mean, there's another highlight. I don't know if anybody's seen it, of Ray Davis also taking on two different linebackers blitzing. Absolutely crushes one of them to the ground, and then the other one comes along and he takes care of him as well. So these running backs have been very good at picking up the blitz, and part of that has to do with, again, the offensive line being in sync and talking and saying, hey, we know who we're picking up here. We have a feeling they might be coming on this play. Even though the Bills haven't been blitzed too much this year against the pass, they've been able to pick it up. But this game is going to be a different test because they have guys like I said, Kyle Hamilton. I've been talking about him a lot, but Kyle Hamilton, if you don't pay attention too much to the Ravens, he is a dog, and he's going to be a guy that they're really going to have to pay attention to because he's going to be all over the field. And you have like guys like Van Noy, like we said. So it's going to be a big test. We'll see what happens. I do think that they'll be able to pick it up pretty well, and I think having a guy like Josh Allen that is mobile and able to extend plays helps. So we'll see. One of them is going to have to get, either the Bills' offensive line is going to have to struggle, or the Ravens aren't really going to be able to get as much pressure as they maybe are hoping to, and have been so far this season.